What's going on, everybody? Dancing in your seats, guys. Happy Thursday to you. You guys could see, too, I'm not alone today, man. We are going to talk some exciting stuff today. I'm going to pause the music so we can get right into it. Brian's dancing. Guys, welcome to the Start Down. We're talking about what happens after you have the idea and we get to work. And no one's working harder, I think, on social media right now than Brian Cristiano. And I'm so excited to have him here from Bold Worldwide. His story is excellent. And not only is his story excellent, he's sharing it with everybody through social media. And it's one of those stories that I love because it takes the applications of the people we love to follow, like Grant and Gary and all these guys that are out there. And he's really applying it and doing a great job. And I've learned so much from him, from the Facebook group we started. But as I say on every show, no one explains themselves better than you do, Brian. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, let you introduce yourself to the audience and tell a little bit about what you do.
That's awesome. I'm actually just sharing your link on my feed right now. So
Perfect,
that's what
perfect. Yeah, and while you're doing that, if you're watching the replay, definitely hashtag replay. If you're live, let us know you're live, and please drop some comments, and we will let Brian answer any questions you guys may have as well.
Awesome, dude. So thanks so much for having me on, man. I'm excited. I know you're like the guy that I see. I know I'm not as active as I need to be in the Facebook group, the Bold Facebook group, but I always see your dance in the morning, man. It gets me excited. So
I love that. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. So what? Sorry, I've got distracted posting this on Facebook. Where do you want me to start?
Yeah, no problem. So I mean, one of the things I love, and I'm here in Fort Lauderdale, and I saw you on Bill's show. I've seen you on Luke's show, and like I said, a lot of stuff you've been sharing. And I love your story, starting at the Art Institute. And the way you tell that story of coming down there. And my first experience with kind of this whole media thing was when I was about 13 years old. It was right around that 1993, 94 time, going to the Art Institute. And this is like pre a lot of that technology, but I went there and I toured it as a kid and saw all the cool stuff. Share a little bit about your story coming down here and then transitioning into what you've done now and kind of where you're at.
That's awesome, man. Southeast 17th Street's where it's at. So, yeah, I did. I went down there for I think it was production, video, film production, whatever it was. And they had it kind of split up into two programs. I took advantage of all the gear, equipment, technology that they had. One of the old school Avid editing systems where it was like the big, huge drives you had to like plug out. So that was after I left high school. That's where I went. I got my associate's degree, and then I went on to the bachelor's program. And there was a teacher, I think it was my third class, my first week for my bachelor's there, and said, hey, how many people here have experience in production? And I was one of the few people that raised their hands. Some people like, oh, I've been a production assistant. Other people, oh, I filmed a wedding. And, he got to me and I said, oh, well, I produced 5 skate videos. I sold one for $40,000. I'm doing B camera for the History Channel, worked for ABC, did this other commercial. And he goes, why are you here? And I go, that's a great question. I picked up my books and left and I quit college and moved on. Started a company.
Nice. That's awesome. So tell us about your company now. Tell us about Bold Worldwide.
Yeah, so Bold Worldwide, our headquarters are here in New York City, and what we do is we are a media marketing company. So we grow brands by understanding not only how to tell their story, but really understanding what are they trying to accomplish as a business. So we understand really from a consulting side, like what is the business trying to accomplish? How do we then translate that into a marketing strategy? And then what's the real story that we're going to tell to help accelerate their growth that goes back into their actual business goals? So that's what we do in a nutshell. And we work with a lot of different brands, Fortune 500, some startups, and some big celebrities and stuff as well.
So, and that's one of the things I think has been neatest to see in your stories. Obviously, growing up in Florida, we never had baseball down here, but we had spring training not till about that 1993 time. And so I was always a big Yankees fan. So to see the A-Rod episode, I think was really cool and kind of ironic that we're here because, definitely looking up to you and you dedicating the time now. You kind of just expected a short meeting and that turned into a whole almost event, it looked like. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Oh man, so yeah, it was great. I got connected to Alex through a few different people, and he was going to go on Shark Tank. Needed some content, tell that business side of his story. I ended up pitching him in a really creative way, got the business. Turns out we ended up hitting it off on a personal level. And so we ended up, we've done a bunch of business together ever since. We've done some stuff for him, for AeroCorp. We did. And then all of a sudden we're like shooting all this content and I'm like, hey, any interest in coming on Growing Bold? And he's like, that would be great. He was just a cool, all around really nice, great guy who's got a lot of cool stuff going on. And we spent a bunch of time together and got it kind of intertwined into his world and turned it into what you've seen from the Growing Bold episode. And then, we've done other stuff with him since, which is awesome. That's awesome.
That's awesome. So, obviously Alex is very ominous, I think, in who he is, being a Yankee, the celebrity status, especially here in Miami. He grew up down here and having that connection. I think a lot of people today see, celebrities and, are they approachable though? And obviously you've had a lot of success. So I think that gives you the ability, but I think what I've seen in the Growing Bold group is the ability for people to connect. How accessible is it? How easy is it for somebody, would you say, starting out that's maybe, well, I'm fearful to reach out to this person, that person. What advice would you give someone in that situation?
Well, I give a couple of pieces of advice. One, don't be fearful. I think that's one of the things, especially when you get to meeting, having conversations, doing business with, whether it's, athletes or celebrities or other really successful business people. Most people approach them from this very hesitant point of view. They're scared, they're nervous, they're afraid that they're not worthy of their time or something. And so then they just don't take any action. They don't do anything. They never reach out. They never connect with these people. So you can't play the game if you're not actually, you can't win the game if you're not actually playing it. And so you can't win it from the stands. And so for me, it's A, just do it, but don't worry about it. B, this is, I think, the most important tactful piece though. The mistake most people make, and I'm definitely no celebrity, but I get a lot of messages, I get hundreds of emails a day at this point, and the mistake everyone makes, they paragraphs and their whole story and tons of information and links. No one at that level has that time. Dude, I don't have time to read it. Alex Rodriguez doesn't have time to read it. You don't have time to read it. No one has time, especially when they're that busy, successful. Everyone is vying for their time. Keep it short, concise, no more than 2 sentences, 3 sentences max if you got something super passionate. And the rule of thumb, as I say, when you're trying to reach out to somebody, punch above your weight class and like get a connection with somebody that's hard to get in front of, open up the email that you're about to send. If it's an email or a LinkedIn message, open it up on your phone. If you have to scroll, it's too long.
Yeah. That's great. That's true. And I think everybody wants to think they have that. Well, if I tell the story and give them the aha moment, it's just like, if you can't put it in 2 sentences, that's what's going to grab people. Even you said you wanted to engage with people on the Bold group. I said, can we do a live? And it was just that easy. Right. And here we are. And like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time. And speaking of you telling the story, why is that so important to you? I know you've been on hiatus from the show because you guys have been moving. I tell everybody there's no good time to move, have a baby, or get married. And I've done all those multiple times except get married. So I must be doing something right. But, what made you want to tell the story? What made you want to document this journey?
Well, there is a few different reasons. One, I felt very strongly for a long period of time that, here's what we're telling our clients to do. This is what we're selling. We're saying, hey, real story is more powerful than, a contrived than a contrived story or a fake story. And today people want real. They want authenticity. They want to understand, the people behind the brand or the story behind the person. That's important, especially today. So that's something we've been selling. And so for me, it was just an obvious, hey, if this is what we're saying should be done, we should be doing it for ourselves. I'm really a strong believer in believing in your own product or your own service. And if you look at the advertising industry as a whole, when was the last time an ad agency bought a TV commercial or a Super Bowl ad or a radio spot or anything? They don't do it. They don't believe in their own product because most of it doesn't work. And so for me saying, hey, we believe in this so much, I'm going to put our own skin in the game and do it ourselves, right? That was a big piece of it. The other big piece of it was my friend Hank Norman. I'd connected with him. We were doing some business together, and we were talking about, all right, well, do I really want to put this thing out there? And he pushed me in the direction, I don't want to say push, but he really kind of showed me that, hey, look, if you're going to go and do this and you really feel this strongly, why are you not telling the story about your journey? A, about where you've been, but B, where you're trying to go. And it was really just kind of the kick in the pants I needed to go out and just do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, with telling the story too, I know, like I said, the Growing Bold group on Facebook, and Sal just coming on too, and working with Sal on the Fire with Sal project. We also started a big group and a collaborative we're working on, you know, and it's been so neat for me to get into that group and meet all sorts of different types of entrepreneurs. What made you want to start that as well? Was it to fuel the story, or was it to just connect and grow your network?
Here's what I've found by doing this so far in the last year or so is that there are so many great, wonderful, awesome people, entrepreneurs, business people, or just people that have great talent. And there's really there's something weird that's happening right now with technology and with the ability to connect socially and online. There's a lot of people that have a lot of great information, but it's kind of like these walled gardens where you can kind of get some free stuff and online, but then there's always some caveat of oh, well, then get into my $10,000 a month program and then they can give you the real secrets. My goal is to that's not the business I'm trying to build.
Right.
Sure, that stuff's great. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. But for me, I'm dude, I would rather just connect all the really great, smart people who are super passionate, who have drive, who have a vision, who have some talent. I want to connect them all together because for me, at the end of the day, the way I feel that I can give back is let's just put all these really smart, creative, connected, talented people in the same room. And now what's possible? And all that stuff comes back around. I've had people like yourself, but I've had a lot of people actually connect with me and say, hey, I'm now doing business with this person that's in that group. That's so cool. I don't need to be a part of that. I just want to it's cool when you go to an event like a Tony Robbins or a 10X or something, and you're in this huge room with all these other great people who have such a passion and want more out of life. Why don't we just create that virtually? So I'm just let's just start there. Let's do that. And that was it. And let's just see where it goes.
Yeah. And I was just at the Tony Robbins event. He did one in Fort Lauderdale, right across from the Art Institute at the convention center there. And it's so really neat to see the groups come alive that I've been in, your group, the Fire with Sal group, a lot of the other groups that I'm in, and you're actually meeting these people face to face and seeing them there. I'm in a room of 8,000 people. I mean, I bumped into people I knew, but I bumped into so many people that I just connected to online. And it gives, I've been telling people, it gives me that instant rapport. There was no oh, who are you and what do you do? It's we've already exchanged the business cards. They know a little bit about you. And it lets you start getting right to the core of what you want to do, grow your network, grow your business. And I think it, facilitated by people like yourself. And I know you said, you don't see yourself at that celebrity status, but I really think you're moving there through the group and some of the things, not from a vanity point, but I think from a point of like you said, networking like-minded people. Steve, who's in the group where I get my coffee from now, I mean, it's just, there's been so many neat things in the group that have brought people together. And, I know you talk about growing the organization well, and there's that goal to the 100 million, the 2 comma club, 1 shy of the 3 comma club. And, I know Grant talks about money being, you need money to make things happen. I know for you, the 100 million is a goal, not necessarily on the dollar amount possibly, but on what you want to achieve. Talk about how you set that as a goal and why that's important.
So, yeah, very, very interesting. So I think that this is actually something I got from Grant directly, spending a little bit of time with him, which is, well, you need to dream a lot bigger. Actually, him and Jordan Zimmerman, believe it or not. And so I connect with both of them. They had a very similar point of view. You're dreaming big. You've gotten to this point of where, if you didn't know what you're doing, you wouldn't have reached this point, even though your business is still small in the grand scheme of businesses. But you know what you're doing. You need to dream bigger. Even though you're dreaming big, you need to dream much, much bigger. And so it was okay, I need to make myself really uncomfortable. I need to get myself out of, what I thought was uncomfortable at that time and make myself really uncomfortable. And what was really fascinating is that number scares a lot of people. It's big. The club is pretty small at that scale and beyond. And so really it was, look, if you set a target and go, hey, I want to go from 1 million to 10 million, and you fall shy and you do 7 million, yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But if you go, hey, I'm going to do 100 million, do 70, well, that's a lot better. And so it's that stretch. Now, the 100 million is not an ultimate end goal. It's just it's a milestone. That's it. It's not an end target. It is a current milestone, and I'm confident we're going to exceed it. And so for me, it's really just putting that out there, which makes me accountable to people that I don't even know. Like, dude, now I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, we kind of sort of tried. I told everyone in the world there's hundreds of hours of me on YouTube now that everyone for eternity can go and see of me saying I'm staking my claim and I'm gonna go do this thing and I didn't do it. No, I have to go and do it. So for me, it was like a dual purpose.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. And like I said, I like the accountability aspect is so important. And seeing you tell the story, and I think, the team is so important for so many entrepreneurs. And big thank you to Alex too for her efforts in helping get this together. I really appreciate her. She was a pleasure to work with. Your team that you've grown and seeing it in the videos, and I know you've talked about partnerships and things like that. I have a lot of entrepreneurs that I work with that come in either looking to grow a business or start a business. And it's so funny because they'll come in right away and be like, well, I'll give you a percentage of my company, or would you put time in and do this, and then I'll compensate you later. And I was on a call yesterday where there was even with a group of consultants, and they were saying, when do you start charging? So I think a lot of people starting out on this journey, you mentioned the goal gives you the accountability. What have you seen in the best way though to get started? People who are looking for that advice of kind of, where do I start? Do I give things up? Do I find a partner? Do I form a team? What do I do? What's the most important thing for someone looking to start a business, especially marketing now? Because it seems like everyone's trying to start these marketing agencies online and grow them.
I think it's really understanding, like, where are your talents and strengths, right?
Yep.
And going, okay, what are the things that I would need that I don't have, and where do I go find those people? Or whether it's a partner, whether it's an employee, whether it's whether it's a freelancer, what are the talents that you have that that you can go and absolutely crush, because that's going to be your biggest thing. You need to focus on that, especially early on. So if you're not good at numbers or accounting, you're going to need to get an accountant. If you're really great at video production, but you stink at Facebook marketing and you need to do that, you need to go get a Facebook marketer or whatever it might be, right? And so it's you need to go find those people that fill in those gaps so that you can have a machine, right? A business. Being an entrepreneur is great, but if it's just you, you're essentially a freelancer. And so, and that's okay, but you can't trick yourself into thinking you've got a business when it's just yourself, right? You have to grow it. You have to expand outside of your own talents and your own abilities. And so in order to do that, you absolutely must bring on people that fill in those gaps that you can't do or you're not good at. And so whatever those things are. And now, so then you ask the question, like, okay, well, how do I pay somebody, or do I give up equity? It really just depends on how badly do you need that thing that you can't do, right? Like, you might not need to give up equity if you can do a lot of stuff and you're willing to, and you have a long time frame. But if you got a short time frame and there's some really heavy, you need a super talented, like, NASA engineer, and you can't afford to pay that person what they're worth, dude, you might have to give up your equity. But if you just need somebody to do your books, make enough revenue so you can pay somebody to do your books. Like, so I think it just really depends on the scale, and really getting aware of what are you good at, like, where are your talents, and then what are the pieces that you need to plug into place to have a scalable and successful business.
I love that. That's such a good advice too, because I think the idea of honing in on your talents, right? Everybody, and there is that business out of never say no. But sometimes I think no could be a very powerful phrase in business. Look, I can't do that, but we're gonna put a team together, find the people to fill those gaps, and go in that direction. And speaking of talent, I know everybody's very big on video right now, and doing video and putting it out. I have a good friend of mine. It's funny. He says he doesn't consider himself an entrepreneur. He owns a brick and mortar store. He repairs computers and cell phones, and he's moving his store. And he's like, well, I want to do video, but I don't know how. I'm like, well, document the journey of the move, which is actually something I kind of got from you. And he's like, well, I don't think anyone's going to be interested in that. And I was like, yeah, but you've really worked hard. What about that self-doubt though, right? And I know you've talked about in your story and kind of having that doubt and then that switch just flipping. What about people that doubt, like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that? Because I know there's a lot of people putting video content out there, and you said this really that isn't good. Is video necessary today? Is it something that's really going to help you grow? And are those stories important to tell?
Here's the thing. Is it necessary? No, nothing's necessary. Does it work better than, a blog today? For the most part. But here's the thing, right? And which is kind of what I said with Luke that you saw, which is, dude, like, are you good on camera? Do you have a story? Are you passionate? Does that come across? Can you present well? If you can't, it doesn't mean you can't get there, right? Like, I'm not saying, oh, you can never be it. It's this is not an innate talent, dude. I was actually a very introverted, shy guy when I was growing up. So this is a learned talent. Anyone can do it. but you have to also understand really taking an audit and going like, where am I on that scale? Do I have those attributes? Can I be that person? And do I want to be that person? It is a lot of work.
Yep.
I mean, we're in hiatus right now, and I'm upset because we are. It was just out of necessity. Here's the good thing, though. I don't think I've really said this a lot, but we filmed everything that's happened last 2 months. It's been the craziest 2 months of my entire business career. It's going to, when we come back on, and we're fixing that right now, dude. It's going, the stuff, the lessons, the challenges. Like Matt Monero says, torch the business. Do we torch the business? It was crazy. We have all of that, and so we're going to show it. Like, that's what's cool. But the reality is, you have to be willing and able to do that, to be comfortable and confident, and be okay that you got to put it out there. You can't just, here's the thing that I feel like everybody's just trying to do. They're giving tips, tactics. Dude, there's so many tips and tactics. I'm tired of tips and tactics. I want to see someone's perspective. I want to see their mission. Hank Norman talks about this all the time. And anybody that wants to learn, like, can they be this person? Go talk to Hank, go take his course, whatever, connect with him, tweet at him. Like, the mission, the vision, your passion, your struggles, dude, that's the story. Like, people want that. Like, dude, I can Google the tactics like right now for how to do a Facebook ad. That's that. Go watch Neil Patel. He's awesome. He's got everything handled. I don't need someone else to tell me that stuff. So I think it's just like, if you're gonna do it, you've got to commit. And like, it's not that easy. It's really not. It takes a lot of effort to do it well and to do it consistently.
Yep. No, I love that. I always say the check clears overnight, but the work does not. You know, the overnight success is you only see the results, but it's that struggle. And I love, and I think that's what Facebook Live has done. It's definitely given us some impact into some people's struggles. And like I said, that's one of the things I've enjoyed about your growing journey. One of the struggles you talk about that I love about your story is when you rented out your apartment because you were just so broke, you told the guy, you can rent it, but there's going to be a guy on the couch, and that's going to be me. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people that struggle, this is hard, right? Like, this is difficult. What was it though, and you see where you're at now, and a lot of people would say that, right? They don't see the struggle. They see just where you're at and that you're working towards 100 million and you're sitting with Grant and all that. But like, it didn't start that way. You really worked hard to get to that. What was the switch though that got you off the couch that made you say, hey, I got to do something, and how can people find that within them?
That's a great question. I mean, look, I think back and I go, okay, for context, I was $250,000 in debt. I had missed payroll. I was 2 months behind on my personal rent. I mean, literally, I had half a foot in bankruptcy. Like, it was going to be over for me. And so I had no choice. I rented out my apartment in the Upper East Side. I had to suck it up. I lived on the couch for almost 6 months. And I remember specifically the moment which it shifted for me was when I felt, for me personally, that I hit rock bottom. Was I came home one night after a really long week, a really long day, exhausted. I didn't want to see anybody, talk to anybody. I come home and I just want to go to sleep. It's like midnight, and the guy that I'm renting out my apartment to is sitting on the couch watching this like 2.5-hour documentary. He's only like halfway through. And he's like, "Oh, this is awesome. You should sit down and watch this." And I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm sure it was a great documentary, but all I'm thinking is, dude, I just want to freaking go to sleep. I can't go to sleep because while technically my name's on the lease, this is his place, dude. He's allowing me to sleep on this couch that was mine. This sucks. And so I was like, I have to do something, because if I continue to just kind of like mull through life and sit on this couch and not take any action, dude, it's over. I'm going to end up bankrupt, or I'm going to end up homeless. Like, something bad is going to happen. I'm not going to get out of this situation. So I was like, what's the worst that's going to happen? If I keep doing this, it's over. If I take a chance, it might be over. But if I take a chance, it might not be over. So I have no choice. I was just backed into a corner and I had to move forward.
No, it's so true. And I think it's just that I have nothing to lose. And I think when you feel like you have nothing to lose, and if you could self-generate that feeling before you get to that point, that's a great thing to do. So, there's a level of self-awareness that I think a lot of people lack in entrepreneurship when it comes to that, in hindsight is 2020. And I think that's so important. That being said, I know there's some new pressure coming on your back as well. I saw you posted, there's a family coming.
Yep.
And I got 4. So I'll tell you, one is easy, one is easy, but that, what do I have to lose is I think for the solo entrepreneur when you're young, right? Sometimes that's an easy attitude to have. And having 4 kids, that's my motivation. And I tell everybody, I'm working towards time with my family. That's what's important to me. How though has, knowing that you're going to have a family and that coming and you're making some big leaps too, and you're having great success, but how has that changed how you approach situations, knowing that a family's coming, knowing your time's going to change, and now the risk doesn't just affect you, it affects multiple people?
See, the thing that has switched for me, I've absolutely made even bigger changes in the business because of it, because I'm going, man, I got a tight timeline now. Like I got to get myself in. I mean, I'm sure in the eyes of most people, like, dude, you're fine. Obviously, I'll be fine. But in my mind, I'm like, dude, I'm not fine. I need to be able to say, hey, guys, I'm going to disappear for 3 weeks or a month and spend time with my kid and my family. And if I go and do that now, could I do it for a few days? Sure. Could I do it for a week? Sure. Can I go do it whenever I want and the business grows without me in it? No. I have to fix that, dude. And so for me, I am on an absolute mission to fix that before this kid gets here, dude, so I can live the life that I want to live and give the life to the kid and my family that I want to be able to provide. And so I need to play a bigger game. And so for me, I'm not thinking about like, well, what if I mess it up because now there's more, I impact more people. I'm looking at it from the other end and going like, dude, I got to play a bigger game. I got to go harder, because what if I can't deliver what I know I'm possible or what I know is possible to deliver? What's holding me back from that? And for me, it was like, dude, you're overthinking certain things. You're taking a little too much time. I am not necessarily making the big decisions I need to make. I'm kind of waiting. And now I go, dude, I don't have time to wait. I need to make these decisions. It would be worse for me to not make progress and then kind of end up in this like, fine, okay, reasonable space. I want to destroy it. I want to create what is absolutely possible. I want to take it to the ultimate level of whatever is possible. And I want to be able to then have that flexibility. And I'm not going to get there by worrying about like, oh, well, now there's more on the table. I need to take less risk. I need to take more risk. I need to make bigger plays. I need to make bigger moves to get where I'm going. And so for me, it was an accelerator. These last 2 months, I've made more decisions and bigger moves in this business than I have probably in the last 2 years. And I've made some big moves in the last 2 years.
I love that. I love that. You know what you're having yet? Boy or girl?
Nope. We're not going to find out.
All right, man. I got 3 boys and a girl. I can tell you, they're all unique. They're all interesting, and
one easier than the other.
Yeah. No, they're all unique in their own way. They're like your clients. You got to treat each one different. They all got things in common. You try to work with them the best you can. But being a parent, I think, is one of the coolest things. And being a parent in today's age is a little bit different, as I'm sure you're going to see, right? Like, I remember watching, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, and that was it, and then you went outside and played because there was nothing else on TV anymore. And it's such a different time for my kids. They cable is like not even non-existent. They watch YouTube. They're watching Hulu and Netflix. It's a whole different experience. And then they want to be a part of that, right? Like they get excited. They like watching my lives. They see all these things. They want to create their own, buzzword. They want bitter to mean cool, and they're trying to get that out there and spread it. What advice would you give, especially since you're going to be a parent, of someone who says, hey, my kids want to be on the internet. They want to be a star, they want to do these things. What advice do you, because there's a balance there, I think, that needs to happen. What advice would you give to a parent that came to you and said, hey, how do I, get my kid internet famous if that's what they want?
Oh, man. That's a really tough question, because honestly, I think I'm going to answer it wrong regardless of the answer I give, because I haven't been through it yet. And I'm aware that like how I'm going to probably do it is like, I might screw up my kid. So
yeah.
Ask me this question 20 years from now, and I'm like, oh, dude, it was fine. Or like, oh, well, Jimmy was, no, I don't know. I'll just tell you, I can't really give it to you as advice. You probably know better. You'll know better than I do. I'm actually gonna pick your brain about a couple things in a minute here about. But I think what I view it as is, look, it's like anything else. What do they want, right? And then why do they want it, right? Like, I think back to when I was a kid and go like, all right, cool. Well, I have passions for certain things. Like in the times in which like my parents, my family was like, hey, encouraged it and like put me in a position to go and try those different things I was passionate about or liked or was interested in were some of my best memories. And the things that like I wanted to do but didn't get to, I don't mean like stupid things. I mean like real things I wanted to, just didn't get the opportunity, or like it was hard, or we didn't have the resources. That was frustrating to me. So for me, it's like, look, if they feel passionate about it, they want to be a part of that, let them do it. But I also understand the other side of it, of where they're kind of opening themselves up to this massive criticism behind the keyboard. And so for me, it's like, my goal, well, I'll see if I succeed at this. My goal will be to educate them and to show them, look, like, you're going to go and do this. You are going to get feedback that doesn't feel good. That's okay. Like, I want them to feel free in the face of adversity, in the face of when people are telling them that they're no good, or you suck, or you're this, or you're that, and just know that, dude, that's the other person's story, not your own. And if they can understand that and be okay with that, and then still do what they want to do in life, whether it's on social media, or they want to play sports, or they want to be whatever they want to be, dude, then you can go and play all in. It took me 35 years or 36 years to realize, like, dude, it's everyone else's stories. It's not my story. Like, how do I really feel when I remove everyone else's story is different than when I'm worried about what everyone else is telling me I should feel. And if they can get that, then go for it. Do it.
I love that. Yeah. And I think too, it's for kids and entrepreneurs, for anybody, it's hard work, right? And it's hard work and being vulnerable, I think are the two biggest things. And I always tell my kids too, you start anything though, you got to finish it. You start a season in sports, you got to finish the sports season. I don't care if you don't like it in game 2, you're going to the end, but then you don't have to do it again after that. And I always say it's so important, to live for your kids, not through them. I was already a kid, it's their turn. And I think for your kids to be happy, that's the most important thing that I've seen. And Carly, thank you for your comments as well. And yeah, I'm always available for parenting advice, So
what's your biggest advice for me having my first kid while also running a business?
It's one of those things where, and I think you made a great point of the moment, right? Like, you want to be able to have the time to be able to say, I need to go in. And there will be, I think, a point where you feel torn. But obviously, and I'm sure you're in the same position I am, having a supportive wife was the greatest thing for me. She understood what we needed to do in order to make the business successful, and the risks that I take, even still today, in doing that. But then also, knowing when to disconnect. It's funny, my oldest kids are very vocal, and then my 1.5-year-old, at dinner, I don't keep the phone near the table when we eat dinner. That's very important to me. And the phone was in the bedroom, and it rang, and my 1.5-year-old points to the bedroom to go get the phone, and I'm like, nope, we're eating dinner. So he knows daddy works. But just, even if it's at 20 minutes for dinner, or, every night I make sure I say prayers with the kids. I take time to throw the football around with them outside. And one of the things I do is, as much as they're into electronics, Monday through Thursday, no electronics. You do homework, and then you play outside, or they have their activities that they do. But then on the weekends, they're free to be creative and do what they want. But I think being in the moment with them is most important. Is really, and I think you're going to do a great job of that, because you're capturing the moment now. And I see that in what you've done. So just enjoy the moments, and it goes quick. Everybody tells you that, but it really does.
I believe it, dude. It's so crazy. It's like, even these first couple months, since we found out, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like it's been a day. You're like, what happened?
Yeah.
He's going to be here in a minute.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man. That's good insight. And I agree. And sometimes that's hard, being a business owner, or to live in the moment, because you're trying to think so far down the line. But yeah, that's something I want to be more conscious of. And you're obviously great to your kids, so it's inspiring to me.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. We got to do a follow-up live in a year. I mean, and you can give us a brief on how the first year went after the baby's born. Yeah. We'll see. That's definitely something fun to document. Well, Brian, listen, I really appreciate the time. Any closing words? Where can people find out more about you? I'm going to post the Growing Bold group in here, and your Facebook links and your website as well. But the best way for people to get in contact with you.
Absolutely. At Bold CEO everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, etc. I will caveat with, like, dude, I've been a little absentee on the social content. That is temporary. We're getting it back up and running. So thanks for the patience. And I also have not been as active as I intend to be in the group, but we're going to get all that stuff back up and running. So, dude, thank you, man. I'm really excited. Thanks for taking the time to have me on your show. This was super fun. And I always enjoy, dude, when I see everybody real quick. I see you in the group, dude. It's awesome. So thanks for that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Well, on that note, then we'll dance it out. And like I said, definitely keep in touch and keep doing what you're doing, man. All right, guys. Have a great one. You guys dance out too. If you're watching replay, #replay. Let me know you're here. If you love this, share it out. Follow Brian, man. Great story. You guys have a great day. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.